Oh man, I'm kinda lost. I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way? September 25th, 2001. 2 weeks have passed since 9/11. Konami would release its next big entry in its rival with the current survival horror game franchise, Resident Evil. Silent Hill 2.
Laura, how old are you?
I turned 8 last week.
Within a month, 1 million copies were off the shelves. It's also considered one of the greatest games ever made. In Silent Hill 2, players take control of James Sunderland, a widower. James had received a letter from his deceased wife Mary to meet her in the town of Silent Hill. In the town, he must deal with personal demons who somehow manifest themselves in this hellish landscape. Along the way, he encounters other characters who also struggle with personal demons of themselves and their own methods of coping. This ranges from despair, to denial, to anger.
Let's party!
When the game was released, it made history. This is topped off with what many consider to be the biggest twist in video game history. James killed Mary. Sorry, BioShock and your kindly twist. This is the moment that made my mouth drop. It forever changed the viewpoint of games as a whole. Are games an art form now, from a twist as incredible as that?
Yeah. Eddie?
Silent Hill 2 did so well that, aside from Metal Gear, it became one of Konami's greatest franchises. It was followed by other Silent Hill games, none of which matched the greatness of Silent Hill 2. The series reached a stalemate with Silent Hill Downpour, which wasn't even developed by a studio owned by Konami. It was instead developed by a company in the UK, which shut down the same year Downpour came out. While Metal Gear continued, even it reached a stalemate when series creator Hideo Kojima left Konami around 2015. For years following Metal Gear Solid 5, it seemed that Konami had left the console gaming landscape for good. That is until 2022, when Konami would announce that they would return to the lost town of Silent Hill with 3 new games. Silent Hill: The Short Message, Silent Hill F, and a remake of Silent Hill 2. While The Short Message had received a tepid response, and Silent Hill F received generally positive reception, but felt drastically different as it was more like Bloodborne 2, it was the Silent Hill 2 remake that brought the series back to its roots, and it was all thanks to its developer, Bloober Team.
No. You're not.
I have known about Bloober Team thanks to their Blair Witch game. Most people don't even know about the studio, and looking through their catalog of mediocre titles, they were understandably iffy. Even Konami admitted that Bloober Team was an odd choice to develop the remake, as they said they felt like underdogs, but since Silent Hill 2's release, Bloober Team became more popular as a result, going as far as to say they're done making shitty games with their next game, Chronos: The New Dawn. With Silent Hill back on track, you know how it's when a video game is a hit, make it into a movie. Silent Hill, the movie, was released in 2006, and it really didn't do too well. Despite the decent following of the source material, the general reception of video game movies at the time had a significant impact. I mean, nowadays, there are many better video game movie adaptations than Silent Hill, but for the time, Silent Hill was debatably the best video game movie that wasn't Mortal Kombat or Pokemon.
But for me, it was Tuesday.
Anyway, while no one could defend Silent Hill Revelation,
He's not my father, or yours, and sacrifices have to be made.
I don't have your stone, and fuck you anyway.
a new film for Silent Hill was announced, meant to tie into Silent Hill 2. The remake made Silent Hill popular again, with the excellent title, known as our sarcasm, of Return to Silent Hill. It was time to return to the franchise that once was finally a special place.
There are all sorts of strange things around here. I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Return to Silent Hill was directed by the director of the first Silent Hill movie, Christopher Gans. I mean, I guess he was a fan of the franchise, considering how he always wanted to adapt Silent Hill 2, but what made this even more stunning was the actors involved. Jeremy Irvine from the Bourne TV show no one remembers. Hannah Anderson, the Red Herring in Jigsaw, and Evie Templeton, the actor who played Laura in Silent Hill 2 Remake. My god, they had the perfect cast. I mean, some of the designs look awkward, but maybe let's look past that. The director said he drew inspiration from PT, the failed Silent Hill game by Hideo Kojima. What a small world we're in. Anyway, with Silent Hill 2 backing up the movie, surely the movie's trailer does it.
Hold the darkness, you can't give it away.
Son of a witch! I understand you can't judge a book by its cover, but you have to acknowledge that the cover influences you in wanting to see it. The trailer for Return to Silent Hill was not good, to say the least. For one, why does the trailer go so fast in its pacing? Silent Hill, or at the very least, Silent Hill 2, which this game takes notes from, is known for being very slowly paced, which matches the theme of guilt and mental illness that the game is known for.
I'm sorry!
I've been bad.
There are some shots that do fall in line with Silent Hill, but opening the trailer with James looking like he drowned does not fit Silent Hill. Secondly, the movie jumps immediately to the scary scenes. I understand this is a horror movie, but the pacing is so fast that it seems like the movie spoiled all its scares. A 40-second teaser should not move like an action thriller. But what about the third reason of it being Silent Hill 2, the movie? Pyramid Head. He looks fine, just as intimidating. It has an iconic head and sword, and even reaches through the bars. He is the best part of this movie. You do see brief glimpses of the nurses, Mary, Maria, or Angela. Aside from that, there are no glimpses of Laura or Eddie. For a 40-second teaser, it's done well, but he could have done better. Eventually, the teaser poster was released, which reminds me of another film, but I can't put my jeepers into these creepers. However, like the teaser trailer, it doesn't evoke the same feeling as Silent Hill. You expect a mysterious atmosphere, but this one gives the feeling that we're trying to be like Alien. It's clearly not Silent Hill-esque. Eventually, more trailers dropped. Eddie and Laura appear as they would, and while some people, like Akira Yamaoka, the composer for the Silent Hill games, have expressed praise, I still express doubt. But regardless, I'm still gonna be at the theater. Oh right, it isn't out yet at the time of me making this edit, but let's look at the distributor. Why? Because they have a very interesting track record. Without further smacking of a steel pipe, Cineverse. Cineverse is a fairly new distributor in the film industry, releasing such as Terrifier 3 and Silent Night, Deadly Night. They also gave us The Toxic Avenger starring Peter Dinklage.
Wait! Stop!
Yes, that's him alright, and a film called Lesbian Space Princess.
Where am I?
We're the straight, white, malians.
Holy fuck, they raised the middle finger at the homophobes. I must review this sometime.
Kill the lesbian! I'm the light bringer! I'm the fucking universe!
Anyway, let's return to Silent Hill. I aim to ask the question after seeing this. What if Silent Hill 2 sucked? Mods. I guess it did live up to the 16% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Return to Silent Hill is a beautiful mess. I had no idea how you can make Silent Hill 2 bad, but I guess you can. But how do you mess it up? Let's find out. Let's start with the things that I liked. For a movie's budget around 20 to 23 million, the effects are surprisingly competent. Yeah, there are some questionable moments to the naked eye, like obvious green screens, but the effects are decent. So are the performances.
No one said it would be easy.
They're not Oscar-worthy, but at least I can accept that these actors are trying. But that's about it. Return to Silent Hill's biggest problem is that it feels like it could have been released 25 years ago. At a time when video game adaptations are starting to turn a critic's eye, a Silent Hill film was a no-brainer. But then you hit a roadblock, and a massive one at that. That is the main meaty chunk of a 16 to 20 hour game like the Silent Hill 2 remake, not having enough material to squeeze into a movie that runs a little under 2 hours. And it means that we have to pick out which scenes and characters to adapt, and which to leave on the cutting room with Pyramid Head. But at the same time, several video games have little to no plot aside from rescuing the princess, so let's add a plot. Return to Silent Hill is both. The film tries to set up the relationship between James and Mary running concurrently with James' subsequent adventure, because in Silent Hill 2, it doesn't show what the relationship was like before you get to the Lakeview Hotel. And while it is nice that we aren't told they just fell in love like in Love Hurts, there's stats of what led James to Silent Hill can leave much to be desired. The film opens with how James and Mary met each other, something that the game didn't need to include. He was driving, and Mary was leaving the town, or city of Silent Hill in this film, and the two hit it off. Why did I bring this up? Because this will be important later. What follows is the two getting their relationship in a healthy format until James comes across what Mary's been hiding from him. Illness?
I told you that I wanted to die, James.
Nope, she's part of a cult led by her father.
And there will be a reckoning.
I can't remember what his name was, but let's just call him Jonathan Crane because it reminds me of Scarecrow. And also the cult part. You could immediately dismiss this plot point as unfaithful to Silent Hill because the game it's adapting from is an individual's personal demons, except that this claim isn't 100% accurate, even for Silent Hill 2. If you only played Silent Hill 2 either for the remake or original because of how influential it was, then you wouldn't know that the series was meant to be the opposite twin of Resident Evil. Resident Evil focused on action and horror. Silent Hill went with psychological horror. Resident Evil had characters who were trained individuals from a special forces unit tasked with assignments. Silent Hill had ordinary characters who just stumbled upon events. Resident Evil mostly focuses on the multinational conglomerate Umbrella Corporation, who plot the evolution of humanity through eugenics that resulted in all the zombies that you see that were the undesirable results of the intended biological weapons of the T-virus derived from flowers in West Africa. And Silent Hill focused on a cult known as the Order, who plot to usher in the apocalypse and bring the faithful to a place known as the Paradise. Said apocalypse involved the non-believers, i.e. us, an eternal burning from the hellfires as from the sun goddess. The dimensional merge is just child's play. So yes, Silent Hill was always about a group of cultists to seek the end of the world as we know it. Silent Hill 2 has almost none of that, because Silent Hill 2 was so good that fans just interpreted it as a game dealing with personal demons that manifested itself through these monsters. So if they see the cultists in action in Silent Hill 2 the movie, fans will immediately jump out of their seats and scream, "That's not in the game," and then they get kicked out of the theater. Except that the cult in this movie is just a regular cult. I don't recall what they plan on doing to Mary, who happens to be their sacrifice for the ritual, because the cult doesn't play a role in the film's plot aside from that. They don't seek the end of the world, they don't plan on releasing Amaterasu, they don't even try to groom James into the cult.
I am your father. And you are my child.
The only reason why the cult is there is because it's a nod to the franchise and not the game. There is no reason for the Order to be in this movie for James to encounter. And speaking of James, this James is a painter and likes to drink. Except that it doesn't really play much of a role after that introduction. This might be a nod to Bloober Team in one of their games, Layers of Fear, which has you control an artist having to complete his magnum opus. Except that the magnum opus is just a film that screams rushed. The entirety of the events plays out more like a Wikipedia description of these events. There goes another reason why an adaptation of Silent Hill 2 was hard for this film. It feels like we're moving at fast forward speed, which really doesn't fit Silent Hill 2's slow and beautiful pacing. Again, you have to compress a 16 to 20 hour game into a 2-hour movie. What can we add? The relationship between Mary and James, the Order, and the ending. But what can we cut out? Like, how about the Toluca prison segment? You know, one of the scariest areas in the game? That's gone.
That was me. Knocked over some paint cans.
Puzzles and combat? Bye-bye. No interactivity because this is a film and not a game, just means a running simulator. This comes along with Eddie and his arc. Yeah, that guy who eats pizza somehow in Silent Hill.
She said she was fine by herself.
He's barely in this film. In the games, Eddie started as a socially awkward yet helpful young man who was driven insane from constant bullying due to his weight and eating habits. In fact, Eddie may even be more tragic than Angela in the game, and his boss in the remake gets a chocolate coming from fans like him.
And now it's your turn, James.
But Eddie in this film starts out creeping James like he was part of the cult, and after the encounter with Pyramid Head, he's not seen again. Say goodbye to him.
You make me sick.
That's not the only character that got butchered. Angela doesn't do much as well. Her backstory in-game contains a lot of moments that can be considered disturbing to victims of it, so I might as well reveal the content warning behind it. You can click off if you want. Angela was abused by her parents, physically, emotionally, and sexually. Her father took full advantage of Angela, while her mother went as far as to encourage the abuse. Even though it was heavily implied, her behavior only worsens throughout the game. It's gone so bad to the point where Angela may even end it all. But in the movie, that is mostly downplayed to the point where I forgot she even had a backstory. Yes, some scenes match how they play out in the game, but without the backstory, it just feels like fan service, and poor fan service at that. Maria just exists, acting snarky as you would expect from her, but James kind of treats her poorly, not poor enough to think that the relationship of the two have is abusive.
Better do something about that cough.
But poor enough to have James not show much of a reaction to her getting killed. Then there's Laura, the little girl who personally knows Mary, who ends up in Silent Hill.
It was you, wasn't it?
She acts like how a sibling would to another person, pulling pranks and all that, but Laura generally meant well, as she is just a kid in Silent Hill. And when she learns about Mary, she is devastated.
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you!
However, unlike Eddie and Angela, who both get tragic endings to their characters, Laura could get a happy ending. If you act like James wanted to live, James comes to terms with Mary, and ultimately leaves Silent Hill with Laura, with their relationship improving.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
How is Laura in the movie? Just some random creepy kid. No moment when she treats James so nicely, no pranks, no scene of her leaving Silent Hill. Just that. And speaking of leaving Silent Hill 2 is known for having multiple endings depending on the player's actions throughout the game. These range from your standard good and sad endings to aliens. What does Return to Silent Hill do? Do the bad ending.
I know this isn't what you would want.
Yeah, because that's what fans want from a bad movie. Give them a shitty ending. Only wait, that's not the actual end. Because for some reason, we gotta activate the Uno reverse card and return to where the movie began. Back to the beginning, motherfucker. Back to when James met Mary, and instead of heading to Silent Hill, they just drive off. How is this even a good ending? How did the time loop occur? Was the lake a part of it? What's even gonna happen to those two now that James and Mary are in Silent Hill? What about Eddie, Maria, Laura, and Angela? Did James just leave them to die? How can you mess that up?
But I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
Apparently, this change, according to Christopher Gons, was made at the request of Konami, who felt like the leave ending was too depressing somehow. So you just gave us an ending that was even more depressing, in which James embraced that he will be in delusion forever. And it also makes the in-water ending look worse, because if you want a depressing ending, it could have ended like that. I mean, yeah, a sad ending may not work well for some audience members, but at least it was better than the ending we got. What is it with studios interfering with the artist's vision? Seriously, unless the movie benefits from it, stop doing this. Christoph Gons has expressed interest in another adaptation, so we're not out of the hills yet.
Thanks for your help. I really did the trick.
Okay, so the adaptation of it sucked, but what about as a film in general? For a psychological film, I guess it can do horror, but that really depends on whether you got scared watching it. And the film only got one jump scare out of me. There were unsettling scenes like the Beatles. My god, if there's one aspect Return to Silent Hill did better than the games, then it's the monster designs. The monster designs are well crafted and match the creepiness of Silent Hill, especially the Beatles. Yuck. But then we get to Pyramid Head. I saved him for last because as an iconic monster in the game, you gotta show up to punish James for his sins with ties to the Order. Except that isn't Pyramid Head, it's his cousin, Pizza Box. Pizza Box only shows up a handful of times, and not even the times where he's supposed to be intimidating. It's just there. Pyramid Head in-game was created as a result of James' guilt over killing Mary. The guilt is so great that after the fight with Eddie, James feels so much guilt over killing him that a second Pyramid Head was created as a result. It wasn't until James let go of his guilt that the Pyramid Heads ended it themselves. But here, Pizza Box is just James, I guess. It's implied to be a manifestation of James, but the film doesn't go into much beyond that. And thanks to the time loop ending, it won't really explain much. By the way, aside from Pyramid Head, there's also the Abstract Daddy, a creature that serves as a metaphor for Angela's father, which really doesn't do much, the Flesh Lip, which is a metaphor for Mary's sickbed, that also doesn't do much, and Mary herself. In film, her monster form kind of resembles a cross between an engineer from Alien and Vecna from Stranger Things, and moths play a role in it because moths were a thing in Silent Hill 2. It does that crow thing where the moths swarm around Mary like some sort of tornado effect with James floating in the middle. That was kind of cool. And then Mary transforms into a moth-like creature.
Wrapped in my cocoon.
The best I could describe is if Volcarona from Pokemon got turned to live action.
It's a golden Volcarona!
I got nothing to say about that. I just wanted the movie to be over by this point because nothing was interesting about it. As the only person in the theater watching this who came out fresh after 28 years later, The Bone Temple, this was a massive letdown. The beauty of Silent Hill 2 is gone. It doesn't have the richness that was the characters and how they react to their problems, the horror of being claustrophobic, or even the emotional weight of the narrative. Even the soundtrack, which despite Akira Yamaoka being involved, was lackluster, and the only good moments were when the music from the games was implemented. When you take out what made Silent Hill 2 special, you're left with this, a poor adaptation that, while not the worst video game film ever, is just forgettable slop. That's all I can say about the movie. You're better off just watching the cutscenes on YouTube than this, and the only entertaining part of Return to Silent Hill is the fact that Jeremy Irvine has a lot more on his resume than just that forgettable Bourne TV show.
Surprise, motherfucker!
What was that show's title again? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay out of attention. I have a Ko-Fi page now. So if you like my content and want to see more of it, donate to me. These videos can take a lot of time and money, and most of us cannot live like Elon Musk. That is why Ko-Fi is important for me. If you cannot donate right now, just share this video. Please. Now thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay out of cringe. This town is full of monsters. Who could just sit here and eat pizza?